Hi guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack. Today we've got kind of a hybrid project that I'm going to be working on. And the reason I say it's a hybrid project is because this is going to be a woodworking project, but at the same time I have some plans on using the laser to customize this. And this piece of wood that you see here is a piece of poplar that I milled. This came out of a swamp just south of where I live. And because it was in that swamp, the tree picked up a lot of nutrients from the water, and it's got some pretty cool coloring in the wood here. Now, during the drying process, of course, this section here's kind of got a little hump in it, so it's gonna have to be planed down and everything before I get this to the final product. But I'm gonna try, for this project, I'm gonna try to leave the bark on this. I've met some friends in town, and they run a sewing company. They basically make quilts or pretty much anything you can make with a sewing machine, they make it. And then talking to them the other day, and guys, for the ones of you trying to get into a business of doing this stuff, this is why you should go to these business meetings and merchants association meetings and stuff like that, is because I would have never thought that a sewing company would have a need for woodworking or laser engraving. But believe it or not, they are interested in some marketing materials such as keychains, refrigerator magnets, and stuff like that. But the biggest thing that she showed interest in and asked me about and has contacted me directly and asked me to see about making is quilt ladders, because they have customers come in wanting to know where they can get a quilt ladder to display the quilt that they have made for them. So in this video, we're going to take this piece of wood that is straight off the mill, straight out of the kiln, nothing else has been done to it, and we're going to turn this into something cool. And I'm going to use it as a floor model, I guess you could say, for the quilt company, and let them, I'm going to personalize this one for their store and let them display a quilt on it in the store, and then they're going to take orders from me. I'm going to build them, and then they'll add whatever they need to add to them to make it worth their trouble, and resell them to the customers that they're already selling quilts to. So just to show you how businesses can kind of work together. But that's what this video is going to be about. I am going to be using the laser to engrave this poplar, so if you want to see that part, stick around. And if the woodworking really is just not your thing, then you're probably not going to get much enjoyment out of this video. There's going to be a lot of different tools used, a lot of different processes. What I'm going to try to end up with is basically a piece of wood that is this thick, square, 2 pieces, and then the rungs. So stick around and I'll kind of walk you through the steps as we go, and we'll get started. All right, guys, for those of you that were asking yourself why in the world I would use such an ugly piece of wood, that's what it looks like after it comes out of the planer, okay? This stuff has got all kinds of color to it. I mean, it is a cool wood. Like I said, this was some poplar that came out of a swamp. I went and got the log. The other guy that was there with me, he cuts for lumber. He didn't want these pieces. I cut for stuff like this. And so I gladly scooped this log up and put it on my trailer. So, and this is why, guys, because when I saw that poplar growing in that swamp and I saw that heartwood, I knew it would make something pretty one day. So give me a minute. I'm gonna be cutting my rungs for the ladder, or my runners for the ladder out of this. I'm gonna be cutting the rungs out of this piece, and I'm gonna try to get that knocked out right quick. All right, guys, I've got the 2 rungs cut out. I left a little live edge on there. Like I said, the secret to selling stuff is you sell something that nobody else has. This one hadn't got as much live edge on there, but the whole goal in this is on the back side of this thing, it's gonna have the live edge so that you cannot argue that this isn't a custom piece and that it wasn't made from wood that was harvested locally. You can tell it didn't come from a hardware store. So I've also got the rungs cut out. This is a 48-inch ladder, so I'm only gonna do 4 rungs on it, and that should hold 4 quilts, or however you wanna configure it. It's just gonna be a small, short one, but I set the rungs at 18 1/4 inches. I think that's a good size for a quilt, so we're gonna go with that. The next step is I gotta mark both of my my legs for the rungs. So the way I'm gonna do that is I'm just gonna line this thing up. I'm gonna set these guys side by side like that, and I'm gonna go down through there with a square and mark those guys, and then get it ready to throw it together. All right, guys, I got the burn going on the rung that I'm gonna be putting up on the top of the ladder. And what I'm doing basically, I'm just engraving their business name across this piece here, and I'm gonna put it up near the top above where any quilts will be so they can be seen. I've got this set up. The way I did it is I built me a tool line square, and then I put the text in it, and I used the jog controls under the move tab in Lightburn to move the laser over and center it on the piece of wood and on the center of the rung. Once I did that, I selected the text and the tool line, which are grouped together, and I just clicked the little button up the top right corner of Lightburn that says move to laser's location. And what it does is it moves that graphic to wherever that pointer is pointing, and it centers it on there. So that makes it really easy when you're doing pieces like this, especially that are kind of, odd shaped or really, really thin. It makes it really easy to get the results that you want. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this run once. If I'm not happy with the results, I'm gonna run it 2 or 3 times, but I want this dug in really deep so that it looks etched. I do not want just a surface stain. So that's the approach I'm going for. And this poplar can be a little stubborn when it comes to actually burning. It colors well, but it doesn't want to burn in as good. So I may have to run this a couple of passes, but that's where we're at on that part, guys. So back to the build. All right, guys, back at the build now. And with these ladders, I like to make sure that the rungs don't turn, but I don't want to use a whole lot of screws in these. They're just for holding up quilts, so it's not like it's a major task that they're being put under. So what I generally do is I'll use a decent amount of glue on each rung, and also I'm going to be putting in some screws to hold this together. And I will be countersinking the screws so that they're not noticeable from the outside. I don't want that to interfere with the appearance of the ladder. I don't want no nasty screw head showing, so I'm going to countersink those, and I'm going to be putting in some wooden dowel pins as plugs to cover up those holes before we move on to sanding. The glue that I'm using, of course, as always, Type Bond 3 Ultimate. It's my go-to. The personal preference, I guess. Some folks like the Gorilla Glue or other glues, but I've been using this stuff for a while, and I like it. So, like I said, this thing, I'm not wanting to cut to hide the color on it. I'm wanting to leave it as natural as I can. So I'm going to try to just seal it ever so lightly, or I may just leave it natural. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm really not wanting to put anything on this color of this wood, because it is a really cool looking wood, and I really don't want to go messing with it at all. But what I'm going to do next is, now that I've got my glue applied, is I'm just going to flip these guys over. I had everything pre-positioned, and I've got the back side of this to where it's relatively flat. So these rungs are going to be ever so slightly smaller on the front side. They're going to be recessed just a little bit. And the only reason I do that, guys, is just because I like the way it looks. It's cosmetic. And I know some of y'all may not understand, but to me, some of you will. To me, this is my artistic expression, and I just have a certain look that I like to go for. I like for things to have that look, and so sometimes it looks like a shortcut, or it looks like a mistake, but it's not. It's just, that's the look that I'm wanting to go for. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to put clamps on these guys and just pull them down enough to make sure I've got good contact from my glue. Now they're gonna fight each other until I get them snug. So once I've got lines that I drew here to show where the rungs need to be so that they're evenly spaced at 12 inches. And then once I get them to where I want them, I'm gonna tighten these down, all right? I'm not gonna put a whole lot of pressure on those because I don't wanna pinch into the wood. But what I do want is I do want them to be held nice and tight so that when I put the screws in, I'm gonna take these back off. But these are just to hold it until I can get the screws installed. And that'll hold everything together. So that's enough pressure to do what I needed it to do. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute while I get my Craig bit out, and I'm gonna drill those holes and go ahead and drop those screws in, and I'll bring you back around after that. All right guys, next step, I'm gonna use some of my little leftover pieces of dowels that I have, because I have a lot of those. And I'm just gonna be plugging these holes. Well, coincidentally, these dowels are also made out of poplar wood. So I'm just gonna put them in the holes to hide the screws and make it look a little more classic. So it's a pretty easy little task. Just drive it in there. I'm not putting glue on them because they don't come out. If I do ever need to take them out or somebody does, makes them easier. And then I use my little DeWalt saw here. Take those guys off. And repeat to the other side. Like I said, I've made a few of these. This one is more or less just going to be a one for everybody to look at when they come into the quilt store. They have contacted me and said they've got a bunch of customers that are looking for them. So this is going to be a good idea to give people an idea of what I can do. Like I said, this one's more of an artistic expression, guys, using this wood with all this character. And the thing I like about this guy is it gets them off flush with the wood, and it makes sanding a little easier. So I'm gonna go back and touch this up with a sander just to make sure those are down. I haven't sanded the outside of the legs yet. I was waiting until I did this part, but then I'll go back and sand the outside of the legs and make all that look nice. But I went ahead and engraved it up top, and they didn't get me their logo, but I went and got their company name. Oh my goodness. There we go. But so I've got that done, and now the only thing left to do is take it by and give it to them, guys. All right, guys, I got the build done, got the engraving done, and I've got the ladder in here in the truck. I had to run to town to pick up some stuff, so we're gonna pay a little visit to my friends down at So Charming and drop this thing off, see what they think about it. They don't know this is coming. She mentioned that she might want some quilt ladders, but I figure, hey, this is a good place for me to sell some ladders. So they're gonna get a free one for everybody to look at when they come in to pick up their quilts. All right, guys, made it to their shop. I'm gonna take this thing in there and see if they want it. All right, guys, I got the ladder here, and they put some quilts on it. And for all of you quilters or folks that are into this type of thing, they've got a pretty vast assortment of stuff here. I've kind of taken a liking to the Sasquatch blanket here, but they sell all kinds of stuff, and I'll put a link to their store in the description for you. All right, guys. This is the side of the building, but the front of the building is kind of out by the road. But yeah, dropping off a ladder, and got 2 more customers, made 2 more sales while I was in there. So if you're not going out and getting with your local businesses, guys, that's the way. All right, guys, I made it back home, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to throw this video out to help out my friends over at So Charming and just get that thing out there. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I want to reiterate to everybody the importance of Like if you're out trying to make money in your community, get involved with other businesses. While I was in there were two ladies came in, and both of them were asking about the quilt ladder and how much I charged, and so of course I directed them to the web page to look at some of my works, and I figure I'll probably end up making a couple more sales. But if you don't mind, So Charming, they're starting a YouTube channel to go along with their website, Facebook, and everything. And we're trying to help them out and help get the word out where they can get some business. Like I said, they do online sales. So if you're out of town and they have, don't make me tell you what the stuff they have, but they have a whole bunch of stuff. I saw some tools and threads and fabrics, and they've got a bunch of machines where they do custom embroidery and that type of thing. So I'm going to drop a link to their channel in the description. And my friend May, I know a lot of y'all know her, and I'm under a May attack currently, thanks to her video, couple of videos back. But me and May are trying to help get them started out and get them, the word out so that they can take advantage of online sales. So if you're into sewing and fabric and that kind of thing, then go over and check out their YouTube channel. I'm sure they'll have a link to their website somewhere there, and that might be something that you want to look at doing. Like I said, I try to support local businesses and small businesses because these are people just like myself that any money that they make, it goes to pay their bills and support their family and that type of thing. And given a choice over a large corporation or a small business like that, of course I'm gonna choose them if I can. Now it's not always the case. I mean, I do buy a lot of stuff from Amazon and places because you can't get things here, but just go over and tell them the Clack Shack sent you, and subscribe, like their videos, comments, whatever. Just to show them a little love and try to get them kicked off so that they can grow their online sales and help support themselves. But thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know this one pretty much went from the shop to the truck to in town and then back inside the house. And I know it's chopped up, guys, but that's just that's a typical day at the Clack Shack. So I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good day.